Hello, Internet. Shalthis here, and welcome to another episode of the Engram here on gkick.net and on YouTube. Hi, everybody, if you're watching this. So, I know I just did the first episode of the show, and I did it without really any sense of schedule for what I really wanted to do here. So, with that being said, the reason that I am back so soon is because, for one, I'm going to try to release new episodes every Monday or Tuesday on both Gkick, iTunes, and YouTube. We are on iTunes now. We weren't as of the first episode. We are now, though, so you can subscribe to the show there. If you want the audio version, that is. There will be benefits, of course, to being a YouTube subscriber of the show, too. Coming at some point, I'm going to try and do a Welcome to Destiny kind of thing to basically serve as an introduction for anybody who is yet to play the game, to give you an idea of what it's about and what it's like. But another reason that I wanted to come in here is there was a lot that I really wanted to talk about, which really sprang up as of some recent news. And for that recent news, I am going to consult my Ghost. So, Ghost, you say you have news for me.
Guardian. Latest intel suggests that some details of the upcoming expansion, The Dark Below, have already been leaked due to a bug in the main game. Bungie says that, while they've loaded up some of these assets, including nodes in the director, the expansions aren't finished, but Dark Below should be available in December.
Thank you, Ghost. Okay, so that's barely been the big news. Some minor details showed up on the director that point to the next raid, which is going to be part of the Dark Below expansion. And some of it, well, let me rephrase this. One of the things that really, I guess, got on people's nerves was the fact that there was some content on the disc that is gated or blocked off, likely due to the expansion permissions. And it seems that most people who are complaining about that sort of thing really don't understand how game development works. So, they complain about the fact that this content is on the disc but wasn't included in the main game, but they don't really understand how this process works. So, let me break part of this down for everybody that may not understand. When a company like Bungie makes a game, when any company, especially a AAA game like Destiny, and they release the main game, when they're doing that, and Activision, or I should say Bungie, has already explained what the future for this game is going to really entail, and a lot of it comes down to future content, a long-term plan, additional expansions, etc., etc. Now, with that in mind, when you're developing a game that you know is going to have expansion content and future building content, you can't afford, as a company, to release the game and then hope it's good enough to warrant expansions. Expansion content has to start with the development of the main game. Now, you might finish up the main part of the game, and it's probably not where Bungie wanted it. It's probably not the amount of content Bungie wanted in there, because most game developers, if you just told them to make the game the way they wanted it, you'd never see a video game come out. But sometimes a publisher has to throw the hammer down and be like, okay, you got to get this game ready to go by September 2014. That's it. Done. So, okay. Have to get the game done by September. They do so. And some of the content that may have made it into the main game isn't quite ready enough for main game content, so they had to delay it for the expansion or for some kind of future content, be it patches or whatever else. Now, despite what people want to think, Bungie is built like an MMO. You may not be playing alongside thousands and thousands of other people, but it is built like an MMO. It is designed like an MMO. So therefore, Bungie is treating it like an MMO. And you have to understand that. Just because the sheer volume of people isn't there doesn't mean that the game isn't built and constructed and operates and works just like an MMO. So regardless of that, there is content on the disc that's not available in the game. Now, there's a couple of reasons behind why they'd want to do that. Well, for one, when they finally do push the content out, it's much easier to have a lot of it, or some of it, on the disc, so that players don't have to download it separately. Two, as I said before, it may not be done in the sense of it. They might have an idea of where they wanted to go with it, but maybe in the further development after release of Destiny that they've done on the expansion, maybe they decided this isn't quite where we want it. So when we release this expansion, it's going to have to actually patch that content anyway. So it's not ready to go. But maybe art assets are. You know, maybe textures, enemies, enemy names, entries in the director, minor things like that are ready to go. So they could put them on the disc. You know, and it's silly, and in many cases just downright ignorant, to think that every bit of content that's on the disc for a game with a long-term MMO-like plan, like Destiny, is just going to be, you know, fine. And all available right away, perfect, ready to go. It's not how this game is going to work. So, if that's not the game you want to play, I understand that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not what you quite expected. That's okay. You know? At the end of the day, Destiny is another game, you know, released in the litany of games that are released. Day to day, month to month, year to year. It is a $60 game. If you chose to spend more than $60, well, that's on you. You know, if you wanted the special deluxe versions, that's on you. But at the end of the day, it is a $60 game. That's the minimum you have to spend to get into Destiny, assuming you didn't get any deals. But retail price is $60 in this country, and I'm sure it varies depending on where you live. But the fact is, it's the same cost as any other AAA release, and many other non-AAA releases. So, what does it really mean now? So we know there's 2 expansions coming. We know the Dark Below is coming in December. We know that you can get all the expansion content for $35, roughly. That's the expansion pass cost. And every week, they're rolling out new events. A lot of it has been PvP-centric, but I'm sure we'll get more PvE-type stuff too. And this is pretty good for a game that they're trying to build a long-term plan under. You know? You have to assume when you release a game like this that the average person who's playing it is not going to be somebody who's going to plow through the entire campaign in a week. Like, use me as the average example. And I might even be a little bit above average for the amount of gameplay I give this and for the amount that they try to base it on. But I'm actually a pretty good average. I don't play it excessively, but I play it a little more than, say, somebody who actually has work and things like that. Or I have work, but let's just say somebody who can't afford to play when I do. So, with that being said, I right now am a level 14 Warlock. I've been playing pretty frequently because I love the game. I've had this game for a week and a half or so, I'd say, somewhere in that vicinity. That's pretty good. And I'm almost through the campaign. Obviously not quite. Still on Venus, so I'm still getting through all of that. But the fact is, once I get through the campaign, then I'm going to have things to do to improve my gear, to raise my level beyond level 20. Get my eye level up. I call it eye level. I guess light level is more appropriate. But that's part of it. So I have more than I'm going to be able to do, and it's going to last me a very long time. Now, have I gotten my $60 worth out of this game? Not yet, but I probably will. You know, $60 isn't a radical idea. And yeah, some games you might get more life out of. It all depends on the game. I think this delivers, in my opinion, on the value. And I think it will continue to deliver. Every week there's new things to do. There's still a lot of content on the game that I haven't even gotten to yet. I'm thoroughly enjoying it, but this game still has a lot of room to grow in. Because, and I'll say it again, it is built like an MMO. I'm not going to call it an MMO, because technically it's not. It is a multiplayer online game, but not a massively multiplayer online game. So it's an MO. Anyway, the point being, Destiny has a lot more left to give. The game has not even been out for 1 month. It's an MMO built game, which means it's going to start small and grow. You have to give it time to grow. Don't expect a big, gigantic game. See, you can't compare a game like Destiny to a game like Halo either. And I've seen that a lot. I see that a lot because a lot of people seem to think that Bungie made Halo and Bungie made Destiny. They should be similar. You can't do that. Halo is a self-contained experience broken into various chapters, like many games are. Destiny is a game with a core that you pay $60 for, and pieces that go onto it. Some of them are expansions, some of them are free events, but it grows over time. Halo didn't grow over time. Halo was this. It was big. You know, Halo was like there. Destiny, it's kind of like here. And I know if you're listening on the podcast, you can't see what I'm doing, but the gist that I'm getting at is that Destiny is, at its core, a pretty big, solid game. Halo was a bigger, deeper world because it was a self-contained game. There were no plans for more content. There were no plans for a future, for a long-term plan for Halo. You know, Halo had its future built on its success. Halo was really successful, so you got number 2, you got 3, you got Reach, you got all these other games. But Destiny has a long-term 10-year plan. Even World of Warcraft has yet to hit its 10-year mark. And it's ridiculously huge now. At the roughly 10 years. It's almost 10 years. In November it'll be 10. But Destiny is less than a month old. So I'm going to urge everybody, if you enjoy this game at all, if you want to invest yourself in this game at all, give it time. Wait it out. See what the next expansion brings. See what we get week to week. Bungie's clearly listening. They're clearly improving. They are not going to let this game fall by the wayside. It may not be perfect to what you expected, but let's be honest, I don't think any game is, with the hype that Destiny had, could be what everybody would have expected. It just wouldn't happen. So there you go. That's all I have to say about this for this week. I'm going to be back next week to continue with the fun. Again, hit me up in the comments section if you have any questions or comments that you'd like me to address on the air. You can also hit me up on Twitter at gkickshalthis. Also, my Facebook link is in the links below on YouTube. I can't recite it yet because I don't have enough likes to have the short address, so you'll have to go to gkick.net or to YouTube to actually find the link. But again, that's all I got. Thank you all so much for listening. I will be back next week with more. See you then.